This interview is a paid advertisement. It was produced on behalf of the company and is considered investor relations activity under Canadian securities law. All statements and opinions are those of the guest and should not be construed as investment advice. Please do your own due diligence or consult a registered investment advisor. Hello and welcome to the Gold Newsletter channel here from Frankfurt, Germany. My name is Kai Hoffmann. I'm the EDJ mining guy over on X, and of course, your host of this channel. It is my great pleasure to introduce you Alberto Orozco. He's the president and CEO over at Capitan Silver, and really looking forward to the conversation, Alberto. Thanks so much for joining us.
Hi, excited to be here in Frankfurt. It's great. It's my first time here. So it's great to be here.
Willkommen.
Danke.
Willkommen in Deutschland. No, I really appreciate you joining us here in Frankfurt, Alberto. You're obviously in a good mood. You've been on the road for a week now. Give us a bit of feedback. Like, how was it? Like, what's the mood? How are the investors feeling?
You know, it's been great. Somebody told me this morning it must be a really stressful 5 cities in 5 days. Stressful is not the word I would use. This has been intense for sure. Schedule going from early morning till night every day and then catching a train every night. But fantastic. We've been meeting some great people. Each city has been a little different, has brought something new for us to learn as companies. So having a great time.
Fantastic. I'm glad to hear it. Alberto, we need to learn about Capitan Silver. Obviously, you're a silver gold explorer in Durango, Mexico. We need to understand, like, who are you? Give us a bit the 60-second overview here.
Well, look, we're building a different company. We are convinced, as I think many of your viewers are, that we're going into a fantastic silver market here. So how do you build the best possible company for that? And so we obviously have a great project in Mexico. It's probably, in my view, the best place to be if you want to be in silver, largest producer in the world. But we have a great geography in Durango with fantastic infrastructure and access. A project with a history. Up to 2 kilos per ton silver were produced back in the late 1800s from this project. But the property fragmented, and we are the first company to consolidate this project in over 100 years and to put a full understanding of this mineralized system together that is showing tremendous scale. So we've already had some drilling success in the project, showing some multiple plus kilo grades, but also some fantastic widths. 3.7 kilometers of strike in our most advanced trend, which is the Jesus Maria Silver Trend. But we just had an acquisition that consolidated the whole property. That increased our 7-kilometer cumulative of veins to plus 20 kilometers. So that gives you an idea of the scale. And we're currently drilling, currently funded, and we just started releasing results.
Perfect. Yeah, the second question I always ask is about cap structure. You mentioned you're funded. Run us a bit through cap table. How many shares outstanding do you have, and what's the cash position?
Well, you know, that's one of the key differentiators with Capitan. We are at 114 million shares outstanding, 120 fully diluted, no warrants in the share structure. We have done the last 2 financings at a premium to market, 30% premium to market. The last 3 have brought a strategic investor. About 70% of those shares are tightly held. Our top 3 shareholders alone, including Michael Gentile, Jupiter Gold and Silver Mining Fund, and Construplan, which is Mexican-owned private company, own just under 40% of those shares. So small float in most of those shares in long-term hands. Our last reported cash position was 7.5 million, and again,
it was at the end of June, I'm assuming.
End of June, yes. Yeah.
Okay. Only 6 million warrants, or no warrants outstanding?
Zero warrants.
Zero warrants. Fantastic. I think you had some warrants exercised over this summer.
Yes, the last financing we did was the only one that we've had some warrants, but they've all been exercised.
Fantastic. No, we like hearing that. That's a clean balance sheet. Obviously, no debt. Nothing like that. You're an explorer. If you had debt, I'd end the conversation right here. Because what's the point? Absolutely. Let's talk about the project, Cruz de Plata. Yes. Silver Cross, if I'm not mistaken, or Money Cross.
The Silver Cross.
Silver Cross. Yes, okay. Yes. Perfect. I like that. Yeah. Run us a bit through it. Give us an overview. What are you trying to achieve? What's the goal here?
Well, look, we are trying to develop Mexico's next great silver asset, and we believe we have every element to it. I mentioned the location, right on the main silver trend, where the top producer in the world is located, and some plus billion-dollar valuation companies are located too. We have an intermediate sulfidation epithermal system. That's important. That's geological jargon for, in simple English, deep potential for scale, or potential for deep roots in a system. So take, for example, Gato Silver, Juanicipio, Fruta del Norte in Ecuador, intermediate sulfidation systems. We have that. Like I mentioned earlier, we've already been intersecting high grades.
What's high grade for you, by the way, jumping in?
So we're talking about plus kilo grades in anywhere from a meter to 7 meters. We have 7 meters of 988 grams per ton silver with some gold. A very pure silver system as well. When we report some of the grade silver equivalent, because there are some credits to gold, lead, and zinc. But in particularly in the highest grade portions of the system, we're talking about 95+% silver. So that's very much driven by silver, and that's a good thing. Still in the early stages, you could say. It's an advanced project because we've had the discovery. We've already found the grades. We're defining some scale. The western part of our Jesus Maria trend, the whole trend is mapped and sampled over 3.7 kilometers. With the property we consolidated, we've tripled that in terms of the length of the targets. But what we have very well defined with drilling, it's currently at about a kilometer and a half. So we're expanding from that. We set out to do a 10,000 meter drill program a few months ago. We've recently announced an expansion to 50,000 meters of that program. We've only released so far the first 11 holes from those holes that we've drilled. So we have about 40 sitting in the lab right now that are coming out soon. But in those first 11 holes, we got one of the best hits that we had in the project so far, and that was a 150-meter extension to the zone. These are all very close to surface that we're drilling right now because our strategy is we have a long trend of mineralization.
All diamond drilling, by the way, or
RC?
RC?
This is RC, and that's by design because what we want to do is maximize the meters at this stage. Because it's an outcropping system, we want to do shallow holes. So drill as many holes as we can. We define this system close to surface, find where those high-grade zones are, and we identify the controls of the mineralization better, so that on a phase 2, we can go and follow with...
What spacing are you drilling on? And I don't want to get too technical, but I'm just curious.
We're starting at roughly at 100 meters. Okay. We have a large distance to test and multiple targets along the trend. We're going to be tightening that up maybe to 50 with this program, and especially if we see things that we like, and as we release results, we might put a few holes in those areas. But we're not talking about drilling a 10-meter spacing or even 25. This is still broadly spaced drilling, but with enough density that it's going to give you a better understanding of the deposit.
I was going to ask you, with 100-meter spacing, I'm just curious, like, are you planning for a resource at the end of that drill campaign?
No, definitely not. I think that's going to be too early. For a resource in this type of system, I think you have to be at least an 80,000 meter type of drill program. After we had 12,500 before we started our current program, so we're not going to be near there. We're going to need maybe an additional 50,000 to be in the realm of being able to put out a resource. We've just multiplied our targets though, so I don't know if we're going to be at a point to put out a resource at that point. The geology will speak, but I would expect that we're going to be continuing to expand that project for a while.
Fantastic. Run us a bit through, like, just expansion drilling, any wildcat drilling? Are you testing any new targets?
There will be some. Right now, we just consolidated the property. We announced it in August 22nd, so it's very fresh. Just a few days ago, we published our new concept and understanding for the property. That includes a number of targets in different stages of development. So our most advanced one is called the Jesus Maria Silver Trend. That's the one where I mentioned the 3.7 kilometers where we're drilling currently. The other targets need a little bit more work, although the surface sampling has been fantastic all around that trend. We're flying an aerial survey for geophysics. They're going to be deep penetrating and covering the entire area. That's going to complement our mapping and sampling. And we're working on the permitting at the same time. So we want to get to a drill stage to these targets as soon as possible. So I foresee our permitting probably being completed by Q1 next year. And obviously the geophysics as well with additional mapping and sampling. So as we're focusing right now on Jesus Maria, we'll be expanding to the other targets next year, and that will include maybe some wildcat concepts, so based on the geophysics, etc.
No, fantastic. Appreciate you answering that. Metallurgy is another one I'm quite curious always about because it can make or break a project early on. Are you looking at metallurgy already? Because I understand you're further away from a resource right now, but curious.
We're not yet, but look, we have a team of mine builders. and we are very much aware of how metallurgy is very important in a deposit. Having said that, you at least need a base, and there are 2 points here to mention. One, this had historical production, so this was in production with technology from the late 19th century. That gives you some comfort right there. But previous operators that had this project before, they did some tests 10 years ago. They ran some flotation tests for the silver and some cyanidation as well, and both worked really well. So while it was a limited test, it worked really with good recoveries, not only for the silver, for the base metals as well, and I think those were all in excess of 90% recoveries, and for the gold was roughly over 80%. 70-80%, yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah, no, that's great. You touched on permitting, and Mexico permitting is a touchy subject these days. Can you elaborate on that a little bit? It sounds like you're quite confident to get your exploration permit, but we need to talk about a proper mine permit at some point. What's the situation?
Well, the situation has been improving. It has been difficult for the last few months, particularly in the previous administration, but it has been improving and it's been moving along. I can tell you that we applied for an exploration permit recently and we got it without any delay or complications. We expect that's going to be the case with our upcoming permits. But I would tell you, while it's improving, it all depends on your project. And I think the president has been very clear. We're going to be very careful in how we evaluate each project on its own merits. I do think that the government is going to be perhaps more strict on the environmental merits or evidence that you might present for each project. We are very aware of it, and in fact, we recently announced an expansion of our team. We added some fantastic key members. We all come from Argonaut Gold. We put those 3 mines into production in Mexico. And so we've now expanded the team to also include the mine builders, not just the exploration team. Mine builders are getting into the operational, because now our exploration is widening from just being geological to including the environmental, the social, the permitting, because we see a real project here. So we're starting to work on that, and we're working on building the most solid project on those merits as well, so that we have the least amount of problems going down the road. So in summary, it's been improving, but I think you want to be more careful than ever with how you build a property today.
Absolutely. You mentioned you've got about 40 plus holes in the lab. What are turnaround times like these days? Because we see an influx of money into the space, so people are getting busier. Labs must be getting busier, so I'm curious.
Getting busier. I'm going to say it's anywhere between a month to 6 weeks before you start seeing your first results. Then you obviously have to go sometimes through some reassays for QA/QC. That adds at least another extra month. Sometimes to that, so you're between 2.5 months for results. So we are, I think, building already through some of that backlog of holes. We already started releasing some, and they're going to start coming more regularly for us now.
You're sneaky. You're mentioning reassaying. That means you're hitting high grade that you need to double test to verify. So
that happens. That happens. Yes, when you have some high grades, that takes some additional reassaying by other methods. Yes.
Yeah,
so
fantastic.
Sneaky
there.
I didn't say that.
No, you didn't, but I like it. I like it. No, fantastic. Maybe just to summarize as well. So, what are some of the near-term, mid-term catalysts that we as investors can look forward to there?
Obviously, the drilling. We're going to have periodical reporting on the drilling, as now we're churning through those results from the lab. And we keep drilling, so the drill results are going to keep coming in the near future, certainly all throughout 2025. We are flying the geophysics for the entire consolidated property, so there's going to be more news coming on that. On top of everything I mentioned here today, we also have within the property a disseminated oxide gold deposit. It's actually very similar to what we were mining with Argonaut in San Agustin and El Castillo. We drilled that in the early days of the company, before we consolidated the silver trend and expanded it, and we have not put out a resource on it. That has an old resource of 305,000 ounces historical. We believe that's going to have some significant growth So we're going to be reporting that this year as well.
Okay.
So those are some of the catalysts that are coming.
Fantastic. Yeah, it sounds quite busy. So really looking forward to seeing more coming out of a Capitan here. Really appreciate it. Alberto, it's good to see you in person. Thanks so much for joining us here in Frankfurt. And everybody else, thank you so much for watching. Much appreciate your support. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. It helps us out tremendously, reaching a wider investor audience, and we thank you for it. So thanks so much for tuning in, and take care out there. Be safe.